Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling exhausted? Not because it was loud or heated, but because you had to explain who you are again. Have you ever felt like the more you tried to make people understand you, the less they actually saw you? And somewhere deep inside, maybe you've started to believe that if people just understood you better, life would finally feel easier. That if you could just explain it right, if you could find the right words, the right moment, the right tone, maybe then you'd finally be respected, finally be seen. But what if I told you something uncomfortable, something most people never hear? That your need to be understood is what's making you weak. That trying to explain yourself is not power, it's submission. Today, we're going to dismantle that illusion. We're going to dive into the unsettling freedom that comes from letting go of the need to be understood. Because behind that freedom lies a hidden power, one that philosophers like Nietzsche, Kierkegaard, and even the Stoics hinted at, but never fully spelled out. This video is for you. If you've ever felt invisible, underestimated, or painfully misread, it's time to stop playing the game of explanations and start becoming someone who no longer needs to be explained. Let's begin. From childhood, we're trained to believe that clarity brings peace, that being misunderstood is a problem to be fixed. So we chase understanding. We explain our choices to our families. We justify our boundaries to our friends. We clarify our intentions to people who never asked to understand us in the first place. And for what? So they'll approve, accept, respect us? But the truth is, no amount of explanation can force someone to see you clearly when they're committed to misunderstanding you. No amount of emotional transparency will soften someone who profits from distorting your intentions, and in the process of trying to make yourself legible, you begin to shrink. The more you explain, the less you're heard. The more you justify, the more you feel judged. The more you reveal, the more you bleed. Philosopher Søren Kierkegaard once said, "People demand freedom of speech as a compensation for the freedom of thought, which they seldom use." You think you're communicating, but you're not. You're performing, hoping someone will see you and say, "Ah, now I get it. Now you're valid." But that never really comes, does it? Because people don't hear your truth. They hear through their filters, their fears, their biases, their projections. And this brings us to the root of the problem. The need to be understood is a trap. It's a hidden form of dependence, and every time you try to explain yourself, you hand over power you didn't need to give. Let's go deeper. Friedrich Nietzsche believed that only weak spirits depend on consensus, that the higher individual, what he called the free spirit, must be prepared to walk alone, misunderstood, even rejected. Why? Because most people do not want truth. They want comfort. They want predictability. They want others to play by the rules of the social herd. And the moment you step outside those lines, the crowd will ask for an explanation. Not because they want to understand, but because they want to pull you back in. Nietzsche said, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. And if you try to explain your way out of that tribal pressure, you've already lost. Because explanation is a form of compromise. It's an admission that the other person's approval matters. But the Übermensch, the ideal Nietzschean figure, doesn't explain. He transcends. He acts from inner necessity. He lives as if the world does not need to approve his path, because it doesn't. And that's what unsettles people most. The person who no longer seeks to be understood is dangerous, because they are free. So if explanation is weakness, what's the alternative? Presence, pure, unapologetic presence. A way of moving through the world that doesn't seek to be understood, only to be. And this is not about arrogance or cold detachment. It's about rootedness. It's about knowing who you are so deeply that other people's misinterpretations feel irrelevant. Here's what that looks like in practice. 1. Stop correcting the misunderstanding. Not everyone deserves access to your truth. If someone misreads your silence as coldness, let them. If they mistake your distance as arrogance, let them. Your energy is not a PR campaign. You are not obligated to clarify anything for someone who isn't ready to hear. Every time you correct a distortion, you reaffirm its importance. Let them sit with their version of you. That's their burden, not yours. 2. Choose selective disclosure. The more mysterious your inner world, the harder it is to manipulate you. The more you say, the more others have to use against you. When you choose silence, you keep your narrative intact. You control the terms of engagement. Strategic silence is not withholding. It is authorship. You're not hiding. You're editing. 3. Train your inner detachment. Detachment doesn't mean apathy. It means choosing where your energy goes and refusing to water the weeds of misunderstanding. When someone judges you, pause. Ask, is this person even capable of seeing me accurately? If not, disengage emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Let your soul become untouchable. 4. Shift from explaining to embodying. Your behavior, not your words, should reveal your truth. Live in such a way that you make explanations irrelevant. Let your boundaries speak for themselves. Let your silence echo louder than any justification ever could. Eventually, you'll realize something profound. Being misunderstood is not your enemy. It's your filter. It shows you who's truly aligned with your essence and who only loved the mask you once wore. The Stoics had a word for this internal strength: autarkia, self-sufficiency. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Revoking your need to be understood is one of the most liberating acts of power, because you stop explaining yourself and start expressing yourself, wordlessly, confidently, and with zero apology. Now, look at your life. How many times have you shrunk yourself just to be more palatable? How often have you traded authenticity for approval? How many hours of your life have been wasted trying to explain yourself to people who had no intention of listening? It ends now. You are not here to be universally understood. You are here to live, to evolve, to express your truth, even if no one claps for it. Let the world misunderstand you. Let them twist your silence into whatever narrative helps them sleep at night, because your job is not to make sense to others. It is to make sense to yourself. And when you do that, when you truly live from that place, your presence will speak louder than any sentence ever could. So, if you've made it this far, I want you to comment below. I no longer explain myself. I exist, and that is enough. Not for me, for you. For the version of you that has spent too long apologizing for being different. And don't stop here. The next video will show you how to rebuild your identity from within, not based on anyone else's expectations, but on the truth only you can define. Because real strength is silent, and the most powerful truths don't beg to be understood, they simply endure.